This is a story from back when I was in elementary school in the Philippines, around 2nd or 3rd grade. I cannot recall, but I was probably around 8 years old. As a child, I wasn't particularly strong in the physical realm. Well, I was pretty much a shrimp, severely underweight and always contracting life-threatening diseases, which Philippines has a fair abundance of. So I was sickly. But despite that, I sort of liked doing physical activities and would always join in whatever fun thing everybody was doing after school. Normally, it would be classic Filipino games like Patintero, Agawan Base, or Langit Lupa, which had lots of running involved, and since I was thin and quick, I was fairly good at. But as far as my physical strength goes, I was pretty much out of luck. The only reason I could do push-ups during PE was probably because I was so thin and easy to lift. We have a lot of typhoons back in the Phils, and if I stayed outside, the wind could probably carry me to the next province or something. Like, I was practically a cardboard cutout. One day in particular, I was strolling the campus grounds after dismissal looking for something to do, when I happened by a group of older kids lined up for something. Being a curious child, I walked over to take a closer look, and what I saw was quite inspiring. These kids were taking turns leaping from a chair and onto a monkey bar, performing some crazy tricks. Like, not even kidding, man, these guys were flying and doing 1080 backflips in the air like they could have auditioned for the Lost Boys in a Peter Pan movie, and the producers would save a ton of money on ziplines, special effects, and editing, cause I'm telling you, these guys can fly without all that. It was incredible. Now at first, I was just gonna set this one out, but I also had a little bit of an adventurous spirit back then, and I noticed a girl from my class that I kinda liked was sitting across from these guys, watching the action. And the stupidity switch in my brain kinda just flipped, and I was like, man, I bet I could do that. Now poor little me had never tried anything like this before, and the kids made it seem so fun and easy. Seem, of course, being the key word in this situation. And I lined up. I was feeling pretty confident at first, still in awe of the spectacle ahead of me, and occasionally meeting the eyes of the girl sitting a little bit away from the crowd. But as it got closer to my turn, I was beginning to realize that the monkey bars were much higher up than I expected. I wasn't as tall as the other older kids at this point too, so it was going to be a lot harder for me to reach the bar. So I got a little nervous, and by a little nervous, I mean crippling performance anxiety, the end of the world is nigh nervous. I was actually about to chicken out, but then some kid from behind nudged me forward, signaling it was my turn. I was too distracted to notice that my turn drew near, and when I came to my senses, I was already at the front. I wasn't about to dip now that everybody was watching, including the girl I decided I was gonna impress. So reluctantly, I pressed forward and got on the chair, which was really flimsy and swayed around a lot because it was poorly nailed together, kind of like my confidence and sense of self-worth. I spent quite a bit of time trying to collect myself on top of the chair, but my legs were shaking too much from nervousness and the chair's poor construction, so I was just kinda stuck in that half-bent, clumsy, trying to not fall flat on my face while I'm just 12 inches above the ground position for a few minutes. At this point, the crowd behind me was getting real impatient, and they started pressuring me to just jump. I don't think I was ever able to fully straighten myself up before I did, but I went ahead anyway cause someone shouted go, causing me to act in an outburst of nervous energy. And there I was, propelled into the air by a broken will and the malevolent forces of peer pressure, harboring within my heart a fair amount of certainty that I had just made a mistake. Miraculously though, I was able to latch onto the bar. For like half a second. Again, I was really weak physically, so my strength failed almost as soon as I made contact with the monkey bars. I had that split-second moment of glory, but my arms just went, nope, can't do this. That, and I wasn't really expecting to be able to reach the bar in the first place, so I clung to it half-heartedly. In any case, gravity pulled me down pretty hard, even though I was like 20 pounds, and I fell butt first onto the hard brick floor. Now a few notes here. First of all, the school playgrounds in the Philippines were dangerous as heck. Like, I appreciate that a lot of the playgrounds I've seen in Texas have this protective soft wood chip cushioning on the ground. Like, the builders understood that kids literally just trip and push each other down for fun, and they've developed a way to defend kids from the evils of the other overly aggressive kids, and I think that's beautiful. Meanwhile, back in the Phils, if the rust from the slides didn't give you tetanus on the way down, there's a good chance you'll still grate your skin off when you reach the end, cause the slides always just drop you to the most jagged and cracked part of the concrete ground ground where all these other crumbling, rusty kitty death traps are built on. Like, who thought this was a good idea? I mean, granted, the buildup of scar tissue over years of childhood injury and frequent exposure to bacteria gave us improved immune systems to enable our survival in harsh third world conditions, but that's beside the point. Second, me falling on my butt doesn't sound particularly painful, but oh man, I cannot adequately describe to you the sensations that I was feeling after I landed. It lasted only a few seconds, but it was really intense. The violent gluteal impact caused a painful shock to surge up my spine, electrifying my body into submission. My vision darkened, my entire body froze, and I was locked in a fetal position. It was as if a boulder was crushing my chest and squeezing all the air out of my lungs, and it seemed like a million tiny swords were stabbing my back all the way up to my neck over and over. I think that the only other thing that I experienced that was close prior to this was when I shocked myself plugging in the microwave. Except multiply the pain by a million, add some temporary paralysis, and a healthy dose of public embarrassment for good measure. Literally, this was probably the first time that I thought I was going to die, physically and socially. I remember just rolling on the ground like a pathetic ball of pain and despair, and all I heard during that time were my groans, my heartbeat, and the muffled, aggravating sound of children's laughter. It sounded a little bit like this. Well, thankfully there wasn't any major damage as far as I know, and the girl who was watching was gracious enough to lead me to the nurse's office. Needless to say, I didn't impress anyone, and my pride was my downfall. Like, literally, I don't think there's a more appropriate way to put it. The real semi-long-term pain actually happened after the ordeal when I couldn't sit up straight for a week because it would just hurt so bad. My life is agony. Bottom line is, don't show off if you can't back up the talk, or better yet, don't show off at all. It'll save you a whole world of embarrassment and pain and butt injuries, I guess. If you viewer have any stories about dumb pride-induced injuries, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. I hope y'all enjoyed the video or at least found it mildly interesting, and if you reached this part of the video, I just want to express my gratitude for watching it. I'm definitely going to be making more, so if you like this one, make sure to stick around. Thank you so much for watching, God bless, and I hope you have an awesome day. Peace.